to radically accept and love yourself, that is political warfare. If every single one of us just really believed we were as amazing as we are, if we even believed we were half as powerful as we truly are.
Welcome everybody to Spirituality, where longtime spiritual practitioners dish reality on various spiritual topics and what we think is going on with stuff. I am so pleased and honored and happy to have joining me today Jodi Anne, who is the host of the Witching Half Hour or So, a podcast that she runs, and a longtime practitioner of spiritual traditions and a fellow tarot reader. Welcome, Jodi.
Hey, Kat, how you doing?
I'm good, and I'm so pleased to have you joining me today. I feel like you have so much knowledge to share. I'm just really excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. So, because the last conversation you came on my podcast. So,
Uh-huh.
for all your listeners, you'll get to hear a little bit more from Kat about her journey and as she's on the Witching Half Hour or so. And I think that's going to drop in August. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure that we put the links for everything up. We'll get all of that pushed out so people who are interested can click on it. Can you tell me just to give everybody a little bit of background about yourself and a little bit about your journey and what you do and talk about on your podcast?
For sure. So I do self-identify as a witch. For me, I feel like it's kind of like taking back the power and claiming the word that a lot of people are afraid of. It's a bit of a feminist power move on my part. I think I've been doing this since I was about 17, and it started with tarot. I got my first tarot reading, and when that happened, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this." And I started studying tarot, and through that I found all kinds of esoteric things back in the 90s. So I became initiated as a Wiccan, got all my Wiccan degrees of initiation. From there, I learned about fairy tradition, British traditional witchcraft. I've studied with shamanic healers and practitioners, First Nation practitioners. I dive into some of the Norse pantheon and the Celtic pantheon because that's my background. So I go into my own background and explore it. Just a lot of my years I've practiced solo. So I was kind of like in the broom closet, doing my thing on the full moon. Anytime there was a big decision, I'd like cast a circle, grab my tarot cards, do a little ritual, get some guidance. And in my mid-20s, I came out of the broom closet. I've been reading professionally, and I teach and facilitate workshops, development circles, and I teach witchcraft along with all of that.
That's amazing, and it sounds like it's so much to dive into. I've been thinking a lot lately about tarot and especially the just absolute proliferation of online tarot on YouTube and on TikTok, on all these other sources. But I've been contemplating a lot about just having so many different readers out there and people clicking on different tarot readers and different styles. I mean, the messages come through so differently with so many different people doing it. Do you think that there is a limit to how many tarot readers it's wise to be clicking on and listening to all at the same time?
Here's my rule of thumb, and what I tell clients is that you want to give the message and the lesson some time to kind of get into you. And I think the word I'm looking for is equilibrate. Like you got to let that in, and you got to let the message equilibrate and work with it before you can see real results. It's kind of like I would think of flipping from tarot channel to tarot channel to tarot channel with the same question: does he love me? Will I get a raise? It's like going to the gym and just like doing 5 reps on each machine, and in a week going, why do I not have any gains? Why do I not feel stronger? Why haven't I not seen any difference? Because you have to work with the energy. You have to take in the wisdom and really look at it. And I don't know about you, but a lot of the time when I'm reading tarot, like I can tell you if a guy likes you, like we could psychically snoop on him, but it's more about Can we connect to our life path? Can we connect to the energies that are building in our life? Can we look at what direction we're curious to go with our life and how that's going to impact our soul journey? Those are the readings that I love to do when you really sit
Yeah.
down and go, what are you thinking about? What is your passion? What are you feeling called for? You know, do you want to look at that? Do you want to project into the next 6 months? Because your reading's going to change, right?
Hmm.
Like based on what you do today.
Yeah, I definitely get the feeling, at least when I'm doing like when I'm doing it, it kind of comes out a lot less like, yes, this guy likes you, and a lot more like, where is your energy right now? Because I feel
Mhm.
like whether or not somebody else is into you, to if you want something to come to fruition, it's all about working with and crafting your own energy around the situation. So the message is it's almost never actually about other people. It's
Mhm.
always about you. So I think when we're looking for like hard line yes or no answers, it's how do I say this? It's the universe, it's law of attraction. The answer is always yes. The question is, how do you get in alignment with it, or what do you do with your own energy to align with what it is you want? So that it's almost always really about your own energy. Does that what I'm saying make sense?
It does. And I was totally picking on people by saying, does that guy like me? Because I've worked many
No, it's a
psychic
good
fairs.
example.
100%, a lot of the questions that come up are around relationships. But I like what you said about yes or no, because it is more nuanced than that. It
Hmm.
definitely is. And I have spreads that I've created that are yes or no spreads, but they don't
Hmm.
really give you a yes or no. Because I've read a lot of tarot books and they'll have like yes or no questions. And
Hmm.
what I work with instead now is I'll take the different decisions that people are wrestling with and we'll lay 5 cards on decision A, we'll lay 5 cards on decision or path B, 5 cards on decision or path C, and look at them together and go, okay, what lessons will be highlighted for you if you take path A? What does the
Yes.
energy look like in path B? And then empowering the client with as much information as I can give them to make the decision that they
Hmm.
want to make.
Yeah, yeah, because the answer is always yes. Like you
Yeah,
could take any of these life paths. It's just, is that the life path you want? What is it doing with your own energy? Yeah, I like the idea of that spread.
that's the thing with tarot is I love that it's a system, but to me it feels like I can use a crazy metaphor like when you go see people dance and they do um, like that really free flowing contemporary dance where they basically dance out their heartbreak on a stage. All
Hmm.
those dancers have usually studied ballet
Hmm.
and then they learn all the rules so that they can really use them to their best advantage to express. And I feel like tarot's like that. It's like this system that has real hard lines about it compared to, like, say, scrying or tea leaf reading or oracle cards. And once you know that system, you can then zhuzh it and play with it and move with it and grow with it the same way a contemporary dancer does with the rules of ballet.
Yeah, I'm really fond of it as well. And when I first started getting into even just watching tarot or looking at other people doing it, initially it was like I was just looking for confirmations of things I already felt. I think a lot of people use tarot for a lot of different reasons. Do you find when you're doing it, like just with your comment section or with your clients, that there are a variety of different reasons why people actually come seeking tarot?
Yeah, and I mean, I can speak to it online a little bit, but most of my experience is sitting across the table with people. And
Mm-hmm.
so online, like when I do post things that are little quick readings or monthly readings, it is
Mm-hmm.
people see, they get the confirmation. I get a lot of, oh my God, hit the nail right on the head. Like, thank you, I needed to hear that today, or that totally fits, I needed to hear that today. when I've been doing psychic fairs for years, the ones that are so interesting is when someone shows up at your table and they go, I was out for a walk today. I've never been to a psychic fair before, and I just felt drawn to come in here. Those are really interesting readings because sometimes you're giving them confirmation about a decision. Sometimes a dearly departed shows up and you just put your tarot cards aside and you're basically channeling and giving them some kind of confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a lot of clients that I work with on a regular basis. So they come when they have a burning question or they're wrestling with something. And a lot of time it is for validation and confirmation because they're intuitive as well. And sometimes their emotions are muddying their intuition, right? Like they can't really see where they want to go. So they want that information, they want that guidance, they want to know that they're tuning into the right channel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, it totally does. You can feel and know something, and then when we get into our heads about it and start
Mm-hmm.
actually analyzing with our human thought processes, it makes the waters all muddy. Sometimes it doesn't seem logical, it doesn't seem possible, it doesn't seem we get ourselves all up in our heads about things. And so sometimes having that confirmation just goes, okay, okay, I feel better. you know, it frees us up from some of those logical thought processes
Yeah.
sometimes. Do you feel like there is a way to that tarot becomes toxic, or that it's not helpful, or it's time to disengage from this?
Probably not so much now because I've been working with it for so long, but at
Mm-hmm.
other points in my life, yeah. And I do see that in clients where they're looking to, and I think it could be any divination tool. It's
Mm-hmm.
when they're looking to something outside themselves for the power they're seeking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they won't make the move unless the tarot card says it's okay. Or they won't do the thing, or they sometimes even people are seeking an answer that you can't give them. And I find this a very interesting dynamic. So I've had clients at my table, and I'm going to tell you what I get. And sometimes the reading I get is not the reading you want. And then I've had many clients argue with me about it. And then I just say, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you can put it in your pocket, you can walk away from it if you want, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what Spirit is telling me. So I
Yeah.
think, and I see, and the reason I bring that up is I see that with people who have a unhealthy relationship with their own sense of empowerment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I don't think it's the cards. I think it's what the person is wrestling with, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a really important aspect or point to it. I've wondered watching a lot of tarot online because there's if you're doing it on YouTube, there is a tendency to want to make the reading very clickbaity in
Mm-hmm.
order to get people to drawn in to click on it. You want to be the person who's telling people what they want to hear so that
Mm-hmm.
people keep coming back. And I've at times felt like that's not it's not a great way to do it. I really just want to say whatever is it feels like it is, but you get a lot of advice that's like, well, pick titles that people want to click on, or make it about something that people are likely to be having an issue with. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't make this about anything. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just work here. like,
I'm going to use that. I'm not making that. I love the way you said that.
right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not crafting some sort of prepackaged awesome marketing scheme. Like, do you feel like the kind of the proliferation of it online almost kind of it's easy to get drawn into wanting to chasing likes and views rather than keeping the message.
Yes. And you know
Yeah.
what's crazy is I don't think this is just a 2024 problem. Because back in 1997, I was working on a 1-900 psychic line.
Yeah.
So, in that group of telephone psychics, there were people who were amazingly gifted, and I loved my time there. And I think it helped me grow as a reader. And and then there were girls that were just spouting stuff off the top of their head that didn't make sense, that wasn't an actual reading. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that I think you're being really kind in the way you're speaking, because I think that is happening online. I think there are people who lack training. I think there are people who lack um, integrity in their readings. And they are creating very clickable, and they are using explosive and exploitive copywriting techniques in order to draw in vulnerable people. And I
Yeah.
think as a reader, it's very important to have integrity. Like this is basically a career option that's associated with people selling snake juice back in from the beginning of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to have integrity in our readings. I think it's important to empower our clients. And when they do come to us with that hunger to be told what's going to make them feel better, to be directed and almost shepherded to an answer instead of empowered, I think it's up to
Mm-hmm.
us as spiritual leaders and spiritual practitioners to help them heal that piece,
Mm-hmm.
or to help facilitate them in a way that they could heal it themselves, where they feel empowered, where they understand that, like, I can't fix your life. I can give you information, and then we can walk through this together, and you can come back in 6 months and we can look at how that energy landed, and then we can do it again.
Yeah. What would you say, like, to people who are like online looking at tarot readings? What's something that they could look at or feel?
I would encourage them to get still within themselves and tune in and really feel into, like, is this meant for me? And I would even go
Mm-hmm.
a step further. And I would say, hey, if you're being drawn to constantly look at these online offerings, these online readings, these readings to the collective, the readings that are out there, maybe that means you should buy a deck. Maybe you should start doing a daily pull. Maybe you should start doing a weekly pull. Maybe you should dive into this. Maybe the reason you're drawn to this is because it would be good for you to do. When we're looking at readings out there that are put online, I think we have to
Mm-hmm.
remember, like, that is not a one-on-one reading. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
going to WebMD. Like, maybe it's diagnosing you, maybe it's not. You probably don't have Ebola, but WebMD might think you do. You know what I mean? It's not a specific reader tuning
Yeah.
in and looking at your path. Can it be helpful? Sure. Like, I put stuff out there, and when I do it, I'm reading for the collective. Like, that's my intention. Like, this is the energy in the collective this month. This is what's around that you can be aware of or tap into. I'm doing it as a general reading
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think you can get really good guidance and really good, like, when I'm talking guidance, I'm like, I'm going to quit my job because of the 8 tarot readings I clicked on YouTube this week. I don't think that's a wise decision. Like, just to
No.
cut through everything we're pussyfooting around, like, that's different, I think, than when you're scrolling through your feed and a reader comes on your feed and you're having one of those, maybe a mental health moment, or you're having maybe something small come up and it sounds like it's speaking right to you and it hits you right like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when it's helpful, but I also think that spirit can use so much to do that. They can use a song on the radio, they can use um, a trailer from a movie. They can use a bird flying right across your path. So when those online tarot readings pop up like that, that's great. I think that's spirit working. But when you're deep diving to find the reader that's going to confirm your life choice that you're afraid to stand in with sovereignty and power and say, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to leave my job because I deserve more money and more respect. Right? I don't think you can get those answers online. I think you can get them from a reader, you can get them from diving into spirit yourself, but not clickbaiting through. And I think that's not a tarot issue, that's a person's own empowerment issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If there's something that you're consistently seeking confirmation for in I don't know, to my way of thinking, you already know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're watching tarot every day looking for signs of what you want, you already know what you want. You don't feel like you deserve it, or you don't feel like you can have it.
Yeah.
So I like with what you're saying is it's really a personal empowerment piece. If you want it, it's for you.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
So, and I think there are a lot of things that sort of tend to get in the way of that. Like if I'm being completely honest, I think there are a lot of people who are bored and apathetic in a lot of ways in their life, both with, jobs, with, partners, relationships. There's a lot of that. And there is also a lot of societal counter socializations that tell
Mm-hmm.
us we should feel guilty or bad about creating instability in our lives or in other people's lives. So I think there are real socialized reasons why people feel disempowered to own what it is they actually want.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah, we're all
there's
in the water. We're all wet. We are in a culture that
yeah,
purposefully goes out of its way to make us feel like garbage so that we will purchase more crap and turn like, I'm going to get really soapboxy here. As long as
no, go
we're
for it.
worried about about like meaningless stuff, we're never going to change the world. Like, we've got social media getting us to care about how fat or thin someone's ass is month to month, instead of looking at the real issues in our cultures, in our world, in our politics. Like, and I get it. I really need to see a lot of reels of baby otters and puppies at the end of my day. I need that escapism, right? It's like a magazine that moves. I get it. But our culture and everything online, like our culture, the way we are advertised to on so many levels, really works to make us feel like garbage. Because when we feel like garbage about how we look, when we feel like garbage about the money we have, when we feel that scarcity, we're very easy to control when it comes to marketing.
Yeah. Well, and if you feel like you're not good enough,
Mhm.
then the actionable thing is to buy something,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
buy a face cream, buy some hair dye, buy this exercise program. If you really just buy all these things, you're gonna feel great.
well,
Because look at how great these people
right?
feel. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
that
it's
that is the
really,
message. And I think
yeah.
as someone who's socialized as female, I
Mhm.
feel that a lot of the marketing thrown at us is that if it's not right, it must have something to do with our body or our appearance. And here's something
Mhm.
you can purchase to fix that.
Right. And that is very much directed towards females. And again, directed more towards males is like if something's not right, it's because you're not rich enough, you're not successful enough, you're
100%.
drive,
Yes.
follow the rest of our toxic masculinity ideas, it's all designed to get you to spend your money and pay attention, and it's designed to drive your engagement in a downward fashion
Hmm.
rather than upwards.
Yeah.
It's harder to keep us engaged with positive stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is. Do you know self-love, like radical self-love, is a political stance. To radically accept and love yourself, that is political warfare. If every single one of us just really believed we were as amazing as we are, if we even believed we were half as powerful as we truly are. So here's some witchcraft for you. You come from Gaia, you beat with the drum of creation. All four of
mhm.
the elements are ever present in your body and ever present around you, and they're there for you to work with, to tune into. You know, we look at our earth and we look at our hustle culture, right? Like, we're told we always have to go, 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 go. But when you you take a step back and you look at earth and you look at what's actually happening naturally around you, for 3 months in most of the world, the earth rests. And she shuts down and she rests and she incubates and she rejuvenates and she softens. And then spring happens and she grows. But yet in our culture, we think we have to constantly expand without any rest. In our economy, we think we have to constantly expand without any rest. And that is out of alignment with the planet we are living on.
Mhm.
And we don't see that, right? So, like, clearly you can hear from my voice, I'm super passionate about this stuff. Like, I really think that coming back to the ways of the wise women and coming back to more traditional living is the secret of continuing forward as people.
Well, and certainly I think that there's a piece of this that's like what you give your energy to or your
Mhm.
attention to, what is holding your focus, is what you're going to get more of. So, and I think that to some degree, like this tactic is figured out and it's being used. If we can hold your attention, if we can get your clicks, if we can get your, then we can control what you're thinking and what you think and how you feel about things. It's done by the news media, it's done by, algorithms on the internet. Like once you start clicking on something, it's going to bring you more of that thing that you're engaged with.
Mm-hmm.
If there's fear mongering involved or
Mm-hmm.
outrage, like rage baiting involved, if it's making you feel bad about yourself looking at it, and it's like starve that of your energy. Call your energy back to you from that situation because it's just trying to keep you engaged.
Do you ever do the thing? I do this. I will systematically look up puppies and kittens and seals and nature, and I will systematically go through my feed and comment on, you know, whales in the ocean looking awesome, like waterfall porn, right? Like, sorry, just like
Oh no,
nature
you're fine.
porn. Like when all it is like, they have all those like a picture of nature and a little poem on top of it. Like I seek that out in my feed and I
Mm-hmm.
comment on it and I share it, but I systematically um, curate my feed on a
Yes.
regular basis so that I don't get as much.
But it does seem like it's true. Like when you're commenting on like a whale video, you're commenting like cool whale video, kings of the ocean, love it. But it's not like the human mind wants to engage in problem solving. How do I fix it? How do I do this? That we tend to be very, as physically focused people, we tend to be far more engaged with things that are physically focused, like problem solving or action steps to
Yes.
take. And the info that I was kind of channeling or feeling like the way up is imagination and creativity. You have to be able to imagine something better and get creatively involved with it in order to actually move things in the other direction.
I like that idea. I love that you're channeling and getting information, like spiritually driven information about how to break through the algorithms without engaging, like without being clickbaity. Like, how can we inspire and create and do the thing? Yeah. Because you want to lead with inspiration.
Right.
right? And it's an interesting question too, because like a lot of the work I do is about empowerment. It's about helping women and helping clients be like empowered and connected and trusting their intuition and trusting themselves and believing in themselves and risking and going forward, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when you're thinking of how to reach those people, like, and how to inspire them, it's a difficult question because it is a demographic that's vulnerable to the clickbaity things. And I don't say that as judgment, I say that as knowing exactly what I seek out on the internet when I'm
Yeah.
feeling like garbage. And I cultivate it on days when I feel awesome. Not on days when I'm feeling like garbage, right? Not on days when I'm, you know,
Mm-hmm.
working an overtime shift at my muggle job and then doing stuff afterwards and still needing to do laundry. Like, not on those days. Those are not the days I seek them out. Those are the days that my activity on my good days support my challenging days. I love how we went from tarot cards to driving positive engagement. I love that.
Well, I
I
feel
love
like
it.
tarot is one of those ways. It's a tool to drive positive engagement.
Yeah.
Like people come to it for answers, but you don't have to be giving the clickbaity answers. You can be giving, even if it is a general message, it can be a general message about empowerment.
Mm.
But like I said, I noticed that a lot of tarot is falling into the clickbaity thumbnails, title grafting, and just telling people what they want to hear. So it's almost like even this powerful and useful tool for positive engagement even sometimes falls victim to the same algorithm that everyone else does.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me. It's always super interesting talking to you. I'm glad that you're so passionate about what things we can take from our personal spiritual journey and how it applies to the world at large and empowering more people. I think we need positive engagement, and that comes from spiritual leaders who aren't afraid to speak up and put their message out there. So I appreciate you so much, Jodi Anne. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find your podcast? Plug yourself for me real fast, Mama. Let everybody
Okay.
know where they can find you.
The podcast is, I think, on most platforms, definitely Spotify and iTunes, Amazon, and Google. And it is The Witching Half Hour or so, because it's roughly about a half hour, sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little shorter, but it's good for a nice walk or commute to pop in your earbuds. Join my little earbud coven. And I also have a webpage, which is Jodi Anne, JodiAnne, psychicmedium.com. When I'm doing psychic fairs, it goes on there. When I'm running classes, it goes on there. Um, my booking request form is up there. Yeah. And I have a monthly love letter actually. I send out a love letter every month. It's just a little newsletter and it's to help you feel connected to other spiritual women, the people doing the walk and talking the talk. And it's a low volume, high consent email. If you give me your email address, I do not inundate you with sales. I send you one love letter a month. And if I'm going to promote, I actually send out a consent form and you can opt out of any marketing without changing your love letter subscription. You can sign up for that on the website.
Awesome. I will link what I can of that in the description for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you so much. And we will see all of you guys later on Spirituality.